This is the coolest brain phenomenon that you've probably never even heard of, and it's called the alcohol-free brain scramble, which is basically a period of heightened neuroplasticity when you remove alcohol out of your life. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Karolina Rzadkowska. I'm the author of this book, Euphoric, Ditch Alcohol and Gain a Happier, More Confident You. And not only do I love helping people reevaluate alcohol in the first place, but I love the identity shifts that come after, where literally anything you ever dreamed of becomes possible in this new opportunity. And in today's video, I'm going to actually break down the science of why, of what's happening in your brain, what's causing this massive identity shift where you can literally manifest any reality you want. All right, let us get to a common definition of what the alcohol-free brain scramble even is. It is a scientifically grounded neurological phenomenon following the cessation of alcohol consumption, during which the brain undergoes significant identity restructuring and heightened neuroplasticity. The alcohol-free brain scramble is a temporary but potent window of peak neuroplasticity where limiting identities become unstable and new, expansive identities can take root, making it the ideal time to step into purpose, to step into entrepreneurship, to step into living a bigger life. Let me share an example with you. She never thought she could start a business or run a half marathon, but the alcohol-free brain scramble shattered her drinking identity so completely that every other limiting belief she'd ever held about herself completely crumbled too. And I definitely took advantage of this alcohol-free brain scramble. I was someone who never thought I could launch a business, who never thought I could write a book, who never thought I could run a half marathon. And I proved to myself when I went alcohol-free that I didn't know what I was really capable of because my past identity was so rooted in being a drinker that I literally could do anything with this new opportunity in front of me. But before I begin, let us start with the brain science a little bit. So when alcohol is a normal constant in someone's life, it definitely restructures their brain in certain ways. So first of all, the brain gets used to all this artificial dopamine that's going off like fireworks in the brain. But the thing is dopamine is not actually a pleasure neurotransmitter. It is one that is released when we challenge ourselves. So when you are, doing a quick fix, when you are getting the quick dopamine from alcohol or scrolling or, any other unhealthy habit, your brain knows that something is up. And this artificial release of dopamine, the brain actually is so over inundated by it that it actually retracts the receptors that catch dopamine in the first place, making your baseline dopamine really incredibly low. In addition to that, drinking actually shrinks the gray matter in the brain. It causes holes in the brains. If you've ever looked into the research of Dr. Daniel Ammon, he will show scans of drinkers' brains. And I'm not even talking about heavy addicted drinkers. I'm talking about just moderate drinkers, what it's actually doing to the brain. It's causing holes, it's lowering gray matter, it's lowering white matter, and it is creating these super highways in your brain where anytime you feel stressed, anytime you want to relax, anytime you want to celebrate or feel frustrated, your brain immediately says, have a drink, have a drink, have a drink. And it really slows down the expansive neural pathways and shrinks them to these very few neural pathways. In addition to that, when we drink alcohol regularly, we have lowered levels of dopamine and serotonin. And there's even studies to prove that when alcohol is a constant in someone's life, their brain is not communicating with other parts of their brain anymore, meaning that really high visionary thinking and having brilliant ideas is just really hard to have when you have alcohol in the picture, right? And so there's a reason why shamans don't drink alcohol. There's a reason why when you go on retreats or you do any kind of expansive journey, they recommend you don't drink. It's because you want to be able to tap into your intuition and your highest vision thinking. In fact, I actually have a new podcast episode coming out that literally talks about how the alcohol-free brain is capable of having million-dollar ideas because of all this expansive thinking. And when you do remove alcohol from your life, whether it's a break or a temporary, sober chapter, or you're ready to go alcohol-free for good, there's going to be so much restructuring that's actually happening in the brain. First of all, your dopamine baseline is going to go up, where not only are you, flooding your brain with this cheap dopamine, but your baseline goes up so that you actually feel way more happy in the current moment, in the immediate joy of the present mundane moment you have in front of you. Your GABA levels go up, your serotonin level goes up, and within even just 2 weeks of not drinking drinking alcohol, your gray matter starts to grow and new brain cells and neural pathways are growing. It's incredible to see because when 6 months alcohol-free, the gray matter grows even more, and by a year alcohol-free, the gray matter grows more than you even had before you ever started drinking. So it's just incredible to see how much expansion is happening in the brain and how much more adept you are at self-control because of this journey. In addition to that, the different ways that you are changing your identity also happen in the neural pathways, because for so long it was like, I'm stressed, I'm bored, I want to socialize, I'm tired. Everything like that was an input. Like the brain just had one short circuit answer, is like, okay, well, let's drink. And honestly, society taught us to do that in the first place. But when you go alcohol free, you start building more neural expansive highways in the brain for more solutions and more tools at your disposal to actually cope with life, meaning that your brain is growing a lot in that moment. So we know that the gray matter is growing. We know that the neurochemicals are really rebalancing and heightening to peak levels. We know that you are also having new restructured neurons and pathways happening in the brain. But what does this actually look like in real life? All right, guys. So, when I first went alcohol free, I never thought I could be an entrepreneur, for example. I come from an immigrant family. I was foreign growing up. I didn't even speak English until I went to school. I was really shy growing up. And so when I thought of what an entrepreneur was, I thought of this super confident, charismatic tech genius who lived in the Silicon Valley and schmoozed with capital venturists. Nothing about me spelled entrepreneur, right? Like I just didn't believe that that was my identity. And so even though I was really interested in maybe having my own company and my own business and having a freedom life, I just wrote it off as not for me. Same thing happened when I wanted to write a book. I actually wanted to write a book ever since I was a little girl. It was my biggest dream. But when I started drinking, I got the worst writer's block. I completely stopped writing. I just couldn't produce the words. I had no creativity, and I definitely didn't have the discipline. It's so much easier to open a bottle of wine than write the next great American novel. And for years, I knew I wanted to write a book, but I just wasn't making any progress on that. And so what happened in my first few months alcohol-free is, I never thought I could go alcohol-free and be happy about it. I never knew I would find so much joy and excitement on the other side. And all of a sudden, it's like every other belief came up for reevaluation. If I could do this, why couldn't I be an entrepreneur? If I could do this, why couldn't I write a book? And literally within my first year alcohol-free, not only did I launch a business and become a coach, not only did I write the first draft of my book that's now out in bookstores and on bookshelves, I also ran a half marathon, started a podcast, and just completely reinvented my identity. It was so crazy to see that my beliefs were so shifted in that moment to just believe that literally anything is possible, because for so long what's happening is that your brain has adapted the identity of a drinker. And so when you have the identity of a drinker, you're like, oh, of course I want to drink. Of course I'll say yes to a glass. Of course I want to go out. Of course I'll buy this. You just form that identity as really strong to your core personality. But when you decide to take a break or go alcohol free, all of a sudden the brain gets super confused. Wait, what a minute. We're not the kind of person who says yes to a drink. Wait, what a minute. We're not the kind of person who stays out late. All of a sudden, everything is getting so shooken up in the brain. And what's so cool to see is that literally any identity can be reinvented in this peak window. So let's just give a small example. Are you a morning person or not? So I grew up thinking I was not a morning person. First of all, teenagers need a lot of sleep, so most teenagers don't think that they're morning people. Teenagers need 10 hours of sleep, and school systems are making them wake up super early. So most people don't think they're morning people when they're younger in life. And then you start drinking when you're 18, 21 or whatnot, and all of a sudden nobody feels good after drinking the night before, so everybody doesn't feel like waking up after drinks, right? So you adopt this belief that you're not a morning person. At least I did. And it wasn't until I went alcohol-free where I got the deepest sleep and I was really restoring myself and just taking care of myself and waking up with so much more energy that I was like, this belief that I'm not a morning person is actually false. I love mornings. I thrive in mornings. It's actually my favorite time to be productive and do creative work. So it's like this one belief that I had my whole life was actually completely shattered during the alcohol-free brain scramble. The same thing happened with my beliefs about being an entrepreneur and writing books. I never thought I could do that, but literally alcohol-free brain scramble allowed me to completely reinvent my identity. And what's so crazy is not only are neurologically so many changes happening in your brain during this period, probably it is the biggest transition period in your brain than you had since adolescence. And adolescence, your brain is really growing a lot of restructuring is happening, and so a lot of identities are formed in adolescence. And this is like the second biggest peak window you're ever gonna have in your whole life to take advantage of this window to change anything you want about yourself. You literally want to take advantage of the window, because let me tell you something. Studies show up to maybe 2 years. And so during the Alcohol-Free Brain Scramble is the time to reevaluate your career, reevaluate your relationships, reevaluate if you're really doing what you want to do with your life, reevaluate how you find fun and joy and fulfillment, and really recognize that anything you want is possible and you don't have to just settle for what you've had so far. And if anyone can do it, it's the alcohol-free version of you. Literally, I believe that the universe tapped you on the shoulder to reevaluate alcohol because it knows what a huge purpose you have on this planet. It knows you are destined for such big things that alcohol literally had no space in your life anymore. And so this is the window of time to really believe that you were chosen for a reason to ditch alcohol so that you can go manifest the big purpose and have a huge impact in this world. Trust me, it is not a small thing. It is a huge deal, and now is not the time to play small. So we want to be able to completely reinvent your identity, whether it's through hypnosis, through NLP, from subconscious programming, through all the different tools that are available to us. And I actually teach this in my 5X certification program. So if you're interested in a career pivot, if you want a second career, if you want to, help other people go alcohol free, if you really want to help people with the psychology of change deep in the subconscious mind, it's what I actually teach in my 5X certification program, where you get 5 times certified as not only a mindset and subconscious mind coach, an alcohol-free empowerment coach, a success coach, an NLP practitioner, and a hypnosis practitioner. You will learn how to elicit these deep changes in the subconscious mind of your clients, but also yourself. And during the Alcohol-Free Brain Scramble is the best time you could ever do this. Now, I was able to take advantage of the Alcohol-Free Brain Scramble. I went from someone who worked in a cubicle to someone who grew a 6 and then 7-figure business. I went from someone who literally thought happy hour was the highlight of my week to being so fulfilled living in my mission, speaking on stages, writing books every day. I went from someone who wished and dreamed and was jealous of people who traveled to have now visited over 62 countries. I can literally take off anytime I want to go visit any part of the world. I've even retired my husband so that we can do it together. My life is so different. I've been alcohol-free 8 years now at the time of this video. I really took advantage of the Alcohol-Free Brain Scramble. Now, I want to share an example of what happens when you don't, because I know a friend who's a friend of a friend of a friend who also went alcohol-free at the same time period. I remember talking to her being so excited, like, what are you gonna change in your life? Oh my gosh, you're gonna launch a business? Are you gonna be that? And she kind of looked at me kind of strange and was like, no, I'm just gonna not drink. And literally nothing changed. She didn't change anything about her career, anything about her purpose, anything about her relationships, anything really about even her life. And 8 years later, she's living the exact same reality she did before, just minus the alcohol. And let me tell you, she's not very fulfilled in her life. And so it's incredible to see what can happen when you really take advantage of this window, because the longer the time passes that you're alcohol free, the more that this window is closing, the brain is starting to become more structured in the new changes. And yes, of course, she could change her life at any moment, you could change your life at any moment, but it gets harder and harder once you're out of this window. During this window is literally the peak time to make any changes that you want in your life. So I encourage you to take advantage of the Alcohol-Free Brain Scramble, map out the ideal future that you want for yourself, and start making those changes today of how you can actually accomplish those things and reprogram your brain to believe that that's all possible for you. Now is the best window of time scientifically that you have to literally reprogram your brain for anything being possible for you. And I know, if you like this video, I'm gonna have more videos on this around why successful people don't drink, the competitive edge that you get when you go alcohol free, and how to really take this period on to reinvent your life and, become the entrepreneur you want to be, grow the online business, whatever it is that your dream on your heart. And that's what I love about this channel is we blend the alcohol-free lifestyle with big entrepreneurial dreams. And it is so cool to see the science of why you are actually chosen to be the best candidate on the planet to achieve those things. So do be sure to subscribe if you want more videos like that. And I would love to know, share a comment comment, if you have gone through the Alcohol-Free Brain Scramble, what identity were you able to shift? What dream were you able to realize that you had and start going after? What shifted for you and how did you take advantage of it? I would love to create a community where we support each other, we share these ideas and things like that, because I have seen so many clients go through this Alcohol-Free Brain Scramble and they have become authors, they have become speakers, they have become podcast hosts. They really leveraged it to do what they wanted on this planet. And I know the same is true for you, but sometimes we just need to understand what's actually happening in the brain so that we can be smart and take advantage of it as much as possible. And if you're interested in really learning how to change the subconscious programming, not only for yourself, but also for clients, if you want to learn how to be an alcohol-free coach who helps people lose the desire to drink, check out my 5X certification program. It's only open a few times a year, so be sure to get more information. You can get on the waitlist if it's not open right now, or you can actually book a call with me to see if it's a right fit for you if we are open. But get on the waitlist either way so that you can actually adopt these subconscious mindset reprogramming tools for yourself and for clients and grow a career doing something you really, really love. Because let me guess, you are probably just getting obsessed with, personal development, the alcohol-free lifestyle, all these things, and it is probably in your destiny to help other people with it too. And if you're just like, I'm super curious, I'm reevaluating alcohol right now, check out Euphoric, the club. That is where I help you lose the desire to drink in the first place and actually go through the process of reinvention through the Alcohol-Free Brain Scramble itself. All right, I can't wait to see your comment. I can't wait to see your subscribe. Let me know what you think and stay tuned for the next video.